You're listening to the International Souls Podcast, solo sessions with me, Eryck. These episodes are where I share my experiences in my careers, traveling, fatherhood, coaching, and everything in between. The real story is about living with intention, moving with purpose, and staying open to what's next. Here we go. What's up, guys? Welcome to the International Souls Podcast. These are solo sessions with me, Eryck. If you tuned in the last episode, I shared about how I started my modeling career, some funny stories, and how it all came along. The sacrifices, the leap of faith I took during that specific time in my life, which really changed and opened up so many doors for me. This episode, I want to share more about part 2 of that, when I decided to take a second leap of faith, invested in myself, and just trusting that that was the right thing to do. Europe Fashion Week 2011. Here we go. So it's the beginning of 2011. I made my mind. I was going to go do the Fashion Week in Europe. Talked to my parents about it. They were ready to support me. So my mom actually helped me out. One of her best friends lived in Paris, like on the outskirts of Paris. And they actually helped and paid for my flight to go back and forth from Paris. I'm so grateful for that. I told my teachers again, guys, I'm leaving for Fashion Week. I'm going to be missing a month. And like, well, you know the drill, Eryck. So you do what you got to do. And off I go. I go to Europe. But I'm telling you guys, Europe Fashion Week is a whole different beast. I thought I knew what I was getting myself to with New York. But Europe is New York on steroids. Every single guy from all over the world, South America, Central America, Africa, Europe, which is huge, Asia, they all fly down to compete, to get a spot in the best runway with the best fashion designers out there. So think about Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Givenchy, Hermes, Balenciaga, Margiela. The list goes on. I mean, I think we get the picture. So everyone wants a piece of it. Everyone wants to have that spotlight and be part of the show. I realized that, wow, this is like, it seemed pretty big, but I just went with it. I kept my composure. I went with it, and when I did my first casting, I don't remember for what exactly the brand, but first casting, I arrived. There was about a 2.5 hour wait. About 350, 400 guys were waiting on the room, and I had 12 of those throughout the whole day, per day, for the whole week. And obviously, all these guys are going from one casting to another, and we're all doing the same thing. So I learned a lot about patience. That week, I learned a lot about patience. I learned a lot about, again, resilience and just showing up. And, you know, as I was going, I decided to have fun with it. So I would plan my itinerary of the day, but I would enjoy, like, okay, let's do like a stop here, have coffee here, have a croissant here. I remember with my friend Felix, he had a 1 or 2 season of experience. We connected over there. He's from Montreal. Next thing you know, in between casting, we were actually skating on the Eiffel Tower, like ice skating on the Eiffel Tower. So just these random experiences that we decided to just enjoy and embrace during our time in Paris. The Paris experience was really nice. I had the opportunity to work for Hermes and Thierry Mugler. Hermes was incredible. So Thierry Mugler, the stylist who booked me on the Vogue of Japan, was actually the creative director, I believe, at that time for that same brand. So he remembered me from the shoot, and he booked me for that show, which was incredible. And then Hermes was probably one of the most anticipated show. I didn't really knew at the time, but I understand it now. And everyone was there. It was a huge show, the press, a lot of budget. I was wearing a $50,000 jacket. I had a security guard looking right next to me while I was changing to make sure I don't leave with the jacket. And I think they had like 20 security guards just for the specific items that they had for the guys to wear. Probably made like $2,000, 2,000 euros for that show, which was my first biggest paid show and paid gig for modeling. But in Paris, you actually receive about 34% in your pockets left once you pay the agency and you pay your taxes and you paid the country of France. So that's something that I didn't know, but it's fine. I still got a few €100 out of that show. Got a great experience. The after party was amazing, and I made a lot of friends during that show. So and they actually ended up booking me for a second season when I went back that next year. But then I went to Milan, and I knew, so Milan is in Italy, big fashion capital, and very competitive. Like the vibe is different. I didn't really personally enjoy my time there. I started to miss again my family quite a lot. I was eating pasta from this like canned tomato pasta all day, every day. Not a lot of money. I was sleeping in a model apartment. This was my first experience in a model apartment, which is an apartment that the agency provides for foreigners, models that are starting out. So they advance the fee of you staying in these apartments. So they just packed it with a bunch of models, which is it's really fun. It's a nice experience. But at that point, I didn't have such a good experience. We had like probably 6 guys in there, and it slept realistically like 4. So I was in this sofa bed, super uncomfortable. The guy was snoring next to me. The other guy was farting and like whatever. And anyway, so I didn't have such a good time. I didn't book anything my first time in Milan. It's actually the only time I've been to Milan, and I never went back. So yeah, so good time in Paris. Not a so good time in Milan. Didn't get made any money. By the time I came back and paid all my expenses, I came back in the negative. Didn't make any money from that whole trip. But that feeling, I absolutely love. The feeling of traveling, of taking the leap of faith, of taking that courage and living those experiences. We also had some more like parties and interacting with all these guys from around the world, all going there and hoping to book something and hoping to just make something out of nothing, basically. Was very enriching. And the friends that I made, Felix, and the friends I made that time are still my good friends today. So that's, for me, the relationship are incredibly important. So when I came back to Montreal, went back to school, and it's the same feeling. I was in my class and just dreaming about going back to that world, because it's like just such a contrast between sitting down and having a class of math, and then going into the unknown in Europe while you're young. That whole month actually started to get me better bookings in Montreal. So following that, I had my first e-commerce shoot with a brand called Essence in Montreal. I was getting paid $100 per hour. I was 18 years old. And for me, I was high on life. I was like, oh my God, my friends are all making 15 hours an hour. I'm making 100. I'm winning. I love it. I did the shoot. It was all right, like just standard e-commerce. I was just I didn't know much about it. It was my first paid shoot. So remember, I started at 18 and now I'm almost 19. First paid shoot, $800. You have to give 20% to your agent, so you have $640 left. The next day, I go to the mall. I buy Gucci sunglasses. I buy a pair of nice shoes. I think it cost me like $500. Then I knew the hard way that you're not getting paid the same week or the next week. You're getting paid when the client's paid. It took about 2 to 3 months before I got the money. I learned the hard way of not spending the money you don't have yet. So that was a really good lesson for me as a model. You're going to get paid when you're going to get paid. So you have to really keep your money well, make it grow, or save it for rainy days, because you never know when your next payment will come in. I was still working with the electronics store. But that was the start of my photo shoot and e-commerce, and starting to build a portfolio after my 2 season. And that's when slowly my career started to kick in, but I was still at school pretty much full time. So stay tuned for the next episode, and I'm going to share with you when I actually took the full leap of faith of dropping out of college to pursue my modeling career. So many things happened before, after, in between. It redefined my life completely, and it actually is a big part of who I am today, that big leap of faith. So stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you for tuning in. If you appreciated this episode, please subscribe, and share it to your loved ones, and I will see you next time. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to follow the show and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us to grow and keep the conversation going. Thanks for listening.